I'd like to welcome Greg Stuart, who is the Global CEO of MMA. Greg, welcome.
Oh, thank you.
Welcome to your own event here in Singapore, which is even more interesting. Tell us a little bit.
We would hope that we would find me here.
I was very impressed to see that. I'd like to know more about the MMA, as I'm sure some of our viewers would. What is the MMA?
Sure. The MMA, Mobile Marketing Association, is really focused on developing mobile marketing as a channel for marketers and advertisers. Our constituents include brand marketers, agencies, media sellers, ad networks, and the telecom companies, and then all the sort of accessories that come around that, all the different entities that support that, technology companies, research companies, and so on.
Well, we're going out to mainly the telecoms industry. Are they getting it?
You know, it's interesting, well, are they getting the MMA, which is, I think one part. I would say that it's a little unusual in the telecom industry to have a trade body that really develops an industry in the way that we do. But, we come more so out of marketing now into telecom. So I think that's something that they're getting used to. Are the telecom companies getting it? Boy, it's hard for me to say. I can't speak to specifically what's happening in Asia, but I will tell you that in the US, my sense is that the telecom companies could get left out of the whole marketing and advertising space based on what I see right now.
Is it because they're entrenched with old theories and thoughts, or don't they get the advertising industry? What is it?
Boy, why doesn't the telecom industry really jump into it? I don't know. I frankly find it a very exciting and fun and interesting creative business. So from that standpoint alone, I think it has its own sort of merits. Why don't telecom companies get it? I think it's hard. It's out of their sort of main thrust of what they've been focused on. I think also that they're just not. It's honestly it's kind of caught in that in between. It's not big enough to matter right now. It will be really huge later. But by that point, you could have lost the opportunity. So it's a very difficult, I'm empathetic to the decisions that they have to make around it.
They are still a critical factor or a critical component of this ecosystem. Are they just being used as a conduit for getting the marketing message across at the moment? Or are some of them actually partnering with advertisers and marketing companies to get it right?
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think that, a lot of them can be regulated too, and I'll use their words, which is just to become dumb pipes. That's their choice of words for it. That could be where they are, and that serves a necessary part of the infrastructure. I think, though, that based on what telecoms saw happen with internet, a lot of them felt like they'd really missed out. And so I hear a heightened sensitivity, but I don't necessarily see the right actions or the right orientation. And that's really that they have to step in and develop a channel. I find often with telecom that their business is more about developing a product, it has a life cycle in the marketplace, and then they move on to another product or another segment or something, whether it be from voice lines or wired lines to now wireless to wherever they move on to next. I think the challenge for marketers is that they need to see it build over time. They see it need to be perfected and developed and made so it works better for consumers. And I don't see that same orientation to telecom for marketing. So it's unclear to me whether or not the role that they're going to play and whether or not they're going to capture what is a $500 million category around the world. It's not insignificant. There's certainly money to be made, but I don't know. It's hard to say right now.
For advertisers and marketers, of course, the old traditional media of press and TV are waning and moving towards mobile. How big is that move, and how dramatic has it been for the industry, and is it adapting?
Boy, I'll tell you, so I've been doing advertising and media marketing for about 25 years plus. And clearly, I've never seen as much seismic change or that change to happen as fast as it is now. It's incredibly dramatic. Again, I'll speak to sort of a U.S. example, and this is a trend that hasn't happened around the world, but I suspect will. Newspaper advertising in America, which is around a $50 billion category, just went to less than $25 billion like that overnight in this recent recession. So there's an industry that's really got pummeled. And if you talk to sort of readers of news, it tends not to be amongst the younger segments of the audience. So what is the future of that business? Very, very challenging. I'm very sympathetic to sort of that. And at the same time, they kind of have no choice but to find a new channel, whether it be I see a lot of hope in tablets for at least print journalism. I'm not so sure that it wouldn't also be a big opportunity for television. Television has been quite affected, although I think it's about to. I think radio as a medium is in big trouble. Yellow Pages is, I think, really in trouble. So there's a lot of anxiety, which is why, in part, back to your sort of core constituent, makes it very interesting. Telecom, if they're paying attention, there's hundreds of billions of dollars that is just available for them, for somebody to step in and service the needs of the customer set.
Well, Greg, I hope we can influence them to get more interested in the MMA's activities. Greg Stuart, thanks for being with me today.
Great, Tony. Good to talk to you. Yep.